fifth presenter this morning in this first session. Remember, there are two sessions today. It's Dr. Christine Briggs. She's going to be speaking on talent development and the achievement gap, front-loading to spark young minds.
This topic has been a passion of mine for a long time. I was teaching in an inner city school, and I saw talent, but I did not see the achievement in scholastic form. So I wanted to look at the idea of talent development and its effect on the achievement gap. And using this with young people, because they're such wonderful sponges for learning. So when we think about the achievement gap, there's a number of elements that influence this. It has to do with home, finances, etc. But the piece I'm looking at here is the curricular focus. Understanding the achievement gap is a disparity between groups. Those who have affluent groups are performing better than those from poverty or diverse populations. So we have overrepresentation of a lot of our population, our diversity and poverty, in special education classes. We have an underrepresentation of those same groups in gifted education programs. And so we have talent that's undiscovered, untapped, unknown. And we have to think about the issue of equity and equality. Equality meaning everyone gets the same, and equity meaning everyone gets what they need. Paula Ojibsi-Kabilius did a study for a number of years in Evanston, Illinois at Northwestern University, where she front-loaded for students in 5th and 6th grade to give them math and experiences on after school and on Saturdays, so they were prepared to take Algebra 1 prior to going to high school and thus have access to AP classes. Young scholars in Fairfax, Virginia, work with on Corridor 1, it's not where the politicians' children go, where they front-loaded K-3 students using gifted pedagogy to spark talent and see emerging ideas and strengths in these young children. They found quite a bit of success. Eric Hines is at the University of Connecticut. He's a recent professor there, and he's looking at the reduction of only 55% of the African-American males who come to that college are graduating, compared to upper 70s, lower 80s for everyone else. And he wants to look at the variables of this diverse population and why we're not seeing the same kind of achievement. So we have students in college, we have students in schools, but what about the little people? What about them? Why can't we tap into those young people's minds when they're ready to see things and need the access to rigor and to engaging learning experiences? What can we do for these young folks? Foundational ideas, William James talks about the idea of tapping into abilities based on interests. When someone is interested, their abilities often become more overt. Maria Montessori also talks about the idea of addressing students at the interest level that can lead to learning and mastery. So we have to tap into interests. We need to find out what they're interested in. Joe Renzulli's theory of giftedness talks about above average ability, creativity, and task commitment. And when those three circles intersect, that's where we see gifted behavior. So we want to see enjoyment, engagement, and enthusiasm for learning. And we need to give this opportunity to students instead of drill and kill and more of the same. So we want to look at front-loading in early childhood, looking at exposing these children to big ideas, looking at providing opportunities for these children to discover and make sense of their world. We're looking at for them to pose questions that they have about what they're learning, and actually go through the process of an inquiry position to find out answers, and to have total engagement in a subject that they find interesting, which ultimately could lead to a career path. Think about a 4-year-old who's interested in the Civil War. We don't have books for a 4-year-old to read on the Civil War. They may have a difficult time finding a mentor to mentor this child of the Civil War, but they're still interested in this process. So how can we tap into this child's mind and provide them opportunities and the support in order for them to develop and reach their potential? Okay, so my research focus here is looking at the achievement gap that actually starts prior to when students enter school. I want to look at pre-KK students. I want to look at students who represent diversity and poverty, those who are underrepresented in gifted programs. I want to expose them to the concepts and skills of the field, looking at migration, adaptation, balance. We want to look at the idea of talent spotting and the idea to get them prepared for school expectations. We want to front-load these children. We want to have them have those kinds of faces all the time in schools, that they're engaged in their learning, that they want to go on, that they're excited about what's happening. And then we can, as Joe would say, spot that talent and nurture that talent so they can become more and contribute to our society. So we want to open opportunities. We want students to be engaged in learning where they're not distracted. We want students excited, enthusiastic, to be able to learn. We want this for all of our kids, and we want to look at this, I want to look at this with the early childhood children so that we can start them early so they can also reach their potential before, instead of having problems. Thank you.